everyone. How are you doing today? I got something to tell you about culture once again, beside jokes. I want to discuss today one more cultural dimension, the one that answered the question, what do I prioritize? What comes first for me? For example, when tackling a work project. Do I prioritize relationship or do I prioritize tasks? What does dimension what this dimension talk about is, let's say you are in a new team, right? Do you put your attention into executing the tasks first, or do you put your attention into creating relationship with the people in your team first? And this is not to say that the opposite side, let's say, is not important, but time-wise, what comes first? It's the chicken and the egg question, let me say. And so cultures that are task-oriented answer that question by saying, if we focus on the task at hand, we build a relationship by executing the tasks. Vice versa, the culture that are relationship oriented interpret the reality in a way that in order for us to execute the task and accomplish this project, first we need to build the relationship. So the relationship become instrumental for us to accelerate and deliver the project and execute the task faster. Okay, so this is an example specific about work that I see a lot, right? But it is also impacting how people really form bonds in everyday life. Okay, so when I talk about the US, for example, it's a very task-oriented culture. And so this is the reason why, and if you are an expat living here, you might have heard it stated to you in this way, that the US culture is very transactional, right? What that actually means is that people come together, execute the task, in this way build relationship, but it often happens that, okay, then everyone leave, right? And move to the next job, to a new place in the country or something like that. And the relationship is just transactional, right? Yeah, we built the relationship, but just because we were colleagues or something like that. Vice versa, Italy, for example, and in general, I would say everyone in a Latin culture, it's much more relationship oriented. So that's why if you build a team in Italy, you go to the coffee machine, right? You start chit-chatting before you get to the meeting room to really execute the task at hand. That step is instrumental, and if you don't do it, you will find incredible hardship in then executing the project, because you miss breaking down the barriers. Relationship are instrumental to execute the tasks, right? So this is where confusion happens among cultures that are from, let me say, the opposite side of the spectrum, because for culture that are task oriented, going and getting a coffee, going together to eat lunch in the cafeteria or things like that are a waste of time because we have to execute the project. Vice versa, for cultures that are relationship oriented, focusing on the task is a waste of time, because if I haven't built the relationship, I already forecast that I cannot move as fast as possible. So it's really, really important, because under now the pressure of the work environment, where everyone wants to deliver projects and be on time, right? How you approach, let me say, the problem, it's really, really matters in your actually ability to deliver. And if you are in a culture that is on the opposite side of how you approach it, you actually end up thinking that you're saving time, and then you get delayed because now you haven't put in place those things, let's say those conditions, right, that really enable you to deliver. So that's something that I always find very, very interesting with my clients to discuss. And it really opens up a lot of incredible discussions about how to approach team building in a culture that has a different dimension than maybe the one of our origin, specific about this task versus relationship. I've mentioned before that, yes, this is very important for the work environment, but it's also very important in our daily life, especially as expats. Let me be honest, this is the dimension that probably cause the most heartburn for a lot of people I work with. And it is because, especially, as I said, I work with Italians that come here in the US and they struggle at times to understand how to build relationship, because everyone wants to have relationship, right? Like, it's part of who we are as human beings. So I will tell you this little story about when my daughter was 6 months old. We started bringing her to the swimming pool, right? And of course, me as the mom, 6 months old, you go in the pool together, right? And then immediately, because I'm Italian, right, it was obvious to me to introduce myself and my daughter to him, and potentially also to the other parents around, right? And so I go down and I climb down the stairs, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Simona, and this is Sophie," right? And the guy looked at me like completely, like with his eyes open wide, like, what is this crazy woman doing? Why? Right? Maybe wanted to know my daughter's name just to mark her a present, but no more than that. And when I looked around and I tried to introduce myself to the other parents, everyone was looking at me weirdly. Now, if you are American and you're listening to these, this might not really resonate, but I guarantee you that whenever I tell this story to Italians, they're like, "Oh yeah, of course you did that," right? Like, it's obvious you are there. And the first thing, yes, we are there to bring our kids to swim class, but the relationship matters, right? And so first we build relationship with the instructor and also with the people that will be there for the class. Vice versa, here in the US, this is really not the norm, right? People were there to execute the task that was to give their kids a swim lesson. By the way, not all the parents were part of the same course, because here in the US, you can also book makeup sessions. And so maybe there were people that were there because normally their class is on Tuesday, but we couldn't come on Tuesday, so we came on Saturday or something like that, right? And so that's what I mean by being transactional, the fact that I'm just here to execute the task. Now, this doesn't mean that you cannot create a relationship, because when, by repetition of being always in the same class, I started to notice that there was another parent that wanted to create a relationship, because we looked at each other and, like, she was always there in the same class as me, and all of that. And till to this very day, my kid and her kid play together on the playground, because we happen to discover we live exactly in the same neighborhood, and from there, here we go, So, but it's the order of things. That's what I'm really trying to stress here, the order of things. It's the chicken and egg question. Do task come first, or do relationship building come first? What do you think? Do you have the answer to the chicken and egg question? I am eager to hear from you. Write to me at simona@coachingwithsimona.com. I want to hear what you have to say about this. By the way, I'm Simona Pappalardo, and I'm a leadership coach who helps global leaders and experts become culturally competent and fully engaged so that they can build success and truly connect with their teams confidently. If you are an expert, or if you lead a global team and you need help in creating the culture and building a culture, or adapting to the culture of your new home, please don't hesitate to reach out and we can talk about I can help with some incredible coaching techniques. I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.